Toyota's dealerships are scrambling. All of them are in emergency mode. Instead of helping, Toyota is making it worse for them. Now, you might be wondering, what in the world could be causing this truck sales slump? Well, my friends, it's a perfect storm of factors, together with a new strategy that Toyota is relentlessly pushing. Let me explain. What's happening? At first, when I heard the news, I thought it was all because of a serious dip in their truck sales. Yep, those big beefy Tundras and Tacomas just aren't flying off the lot like they used to. That's got these dealerships in a real tight spot. See, they've got way more of these trucks in stock than they know what to do with. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. There is a lot more to the story than what the media wants you to know. So what's the real reason behind it? Well, it is a lot to uncover, but the primary reason is that these guys are laser focused on boosting their bottom line, and that is shaking up their corporate system and the industry at its core. But let's talk about this strategy and their big profit margin push, because it's not exactly going according to plan. So we need to know, how does it affect us? And how will this be implemented? Because the reality on the ground isn't looking too rosy. Their gross margin for the quarter ending June 2024, a mere 20.5%. That's a dip from what they were used to. Look, it's clear that Toyota's profit-driven strategy isn't panning out the way they'd hoped. The competition is just too fierce, and they're finding it harder and harder to maintain those juicy margins. And let me tell you, that's gotta be a real headache for the higher-ups at Toyota headquarters, especially since their new strategy is putting the squeeze on their dealerships, and it ain't pretty. The average gross profit for dealerships on new car sales is around 3.9%. But if Toyota jacks up their prices to boost their own bottom line, that's gonna put a serious dent in the dealership's ability to maintain their own margins. We're talking reduced profitability on every single sale, and that's just not a recipe for success. And then there's the whole competition thing. As Toyota raises their prices, their dealerships are gonna have a tough time keeping up with other manufacturers offering similar vehicles at lower costs. You know what that means? Decreased sales volume, which is the lifeblood of any profitable dealership. Talk about a 1-2 punch to the gut. This obsession with boosting those profit margins could have Toyota straying from the core principles of the Toyota production system, like continuous improvement and eliminating waste. I mean, if you start prioritizing short-term financial gains over the long-term benefits of lean manufacturing, that's a recipe for disaster, my friend. And let's talk about the supplier relationships, the secret sauce that's made Toyota the powerhouse it is today. Putting the squeeze on those partnerships with lower prices and tighter terms. That's going to seriously mess with the trust and cooperation you've built up over the years. Their suppliers might not be as eager to invest in specialized equipment or tailor their processes to their needs, and that could really hamper their ability to adapt on a dime. Oh, and the employee morale and culture, they can bet their bottom dollar that a shift towards pure profit chasing is going to ruffle some feathers. Their hardworking team is used to that culture of continuous improvement and problem solving, so trying to shove them into a more bottom line focused mindset, yeah, they're gonna get some serious pushback, my friend. And let's not forget about the long-term implications here. If Toyota starts neglecting that crucial research and development and innovation, they could end up falling behind the competition. Plus, getting too laser-focused on profits could strip away some of that flexibility and adaptability that's made Toyota the industry leader it is today. Not a good look when the market inevitably throws them a curveball. And the cherry on top, all of this is leading to decreased customer satisfaction. I mean, who's going to be thrilled about paying top dollar for a car these days? Customers are going to feel like they're not getting their money's worth, and you can bet they'll take their business elsewhere. How big is it? You see, the tide is turning and consumers are starting to steer clear of the gas-guzzling giant trucks and SUVs that have traditionally been Toyota's bread and butter. But these guys have seen their inventory levels skyrocket by a whopping 20% in the last month alone. We're talking 36 days worth of supply, which is a big jump from the usual 10 to 15 days. And get this, the overall US new vehicle supply has reached a massive 2,610,000 units, a 50% increase from the previous year. That's a lot of cars just sitting around. But what's really driving this inventory buildup? Well, it looks like Toyota's been getting a little trigger happy with their pricing. We're talking some trims going for around $84,000. Ouch, that's gotta hurt the wallet. And with the economy being a little shaky these days, it seems consumers are starting to get a little more price sensitive. Guess they're not exactly jumping at the chance to drop that kind of cash on a new set of wheels. Then there's the whole environmental angle. With all the talk about climate change and sustainability, a lot of consumers are becoming more conscious about their carbon footprint. Those big, thirsty trucks and SUVs just don't seem to fit the bill anymore, you know. And let's not forget about the good old-fashioned lifestyle changes. As people's needs and preferences evolve, the appeal of the massive, hulking vehicles is starting to wane. Maybe they're trading in the suburban soccer mom life for something a little more city-friendly, or maybe they're just downsizing to save some cash. Whatever the reason, it's clear that Toyota's once mighty high-margin products are losing their luster. And the proof is in the numbers, folks. Toyota's reporting a 4.7% decline in sales worldwide. That's a pretty significant drop, if you ask me. It looks like those changing market dynamics are really putting the squeeze on the company, and they're going to have to figure out a way to adapt if they want to stay on top. And Toyotas are also overproducing. I get it, they want to make more money, but pumping up those stock levels? That's a straight up betrayal of the just-in-time philosophy that's been the backbone of their success. It looks like Toyota's been putting a major emphasis on those high-profit trucks and SUVs, you know, the ones with the juicy margins. And hey, I can't blame them. Those big rigs tend to bring in the big bucks. But the problem is, if consumer demand for these larger vehicles starts to wane, that overproduction can quickly turn into a major headache. The bottom line is, while Toyota's focus on boosting their profit margins might pay off in the short term, the data shows there are some serious risks involved. Reduced sales, fluctuating margins, stiff competition, and economic headwinds. It's a lot to juggle. How did we get here? I mean, Toyota used to be the golden child of the auto industry. So, what gives? Well, let me break it down for you. Toyota's really been ramping things up south of the border. Their plant in Guanajuato, Mexico, it's pumping out up to 100,000 Tacoma trucks every year. That's a whole lot of trucks, my friends. But if the sales just don't materialize, all that extra inventory is gonna start piling up faster than you can say overproduction. And Toyota is facing troubles there. Let me tell you. Let's talk about these labor shortages. Toyota's Tijuana plant has had to shut down production for a whopping 19 days due to a lack of workers. Ouch, that's gotta hurt the bottom line, especially when you're trying to crank out those in-demand Tacoma trucks. Talk about a production nightmare, am I right? And the problems don't stop there, my friends. We're also seeing some major issues with employee turnover, the kind that leaves Toyota's workforce looking more like a revolving door than a well-oiled machine. As these workers keep jumping ship for greener pastures, the remaining crew is just losing that essential hands-on experience. It's like trying to build a house with a bunch of rookies, you know? And the financial impact? Ouch, it's not pretty. Toyota's reporting a cool $176 million operating loss for the first 3 months of the year, and you can bet a big chunk of that is thanks to these production woes. Gotta be a real headache trying to hit those targets when your plant keeps grinding to a halt, right? Now, let's talk about where those trucks made there are actually headed. 95% of them are bound for the US and Canada. Toyota's got their sights set squarely on those North American markets. But here's the thing, if the demand in those markets doesn't quite match up with Toyota's production forecasts, all that excess inventory is going to be staring them right in the face. So why is Toyota doubling down on it? Why are they producing it there? There's the good old cost advantages of manufacturing in Mexico, lower labor costs, favorable trade agreements. It's enough to make any automaker's bean counters start seeing dollar signs. But the problem is, those financial benefits can end up blinding Toyota to the very real risks of overproduction. When the profits look that good, it's tempting to just keep the assembly line running, even if the demand isn't quite there. Now, I know what you're thinking. With all those labor issues, high turnover rates, and lack of proper training, you'd think Toyota would be hightailing it out of there, right? But that's not all. First off, let's talk about the profit potential. Sure, the reliability issues might lead to some quality problems in the short term, but Toyota's got their eye on the long game. By keeping a foothold in Mexico, they can position themselves to cash in on all those repair services and spare parts people are going to need. Gotta keep those Tacomas and Corollas running after all. And then there's the good old cost advantages. Even with the production headaches, manufacturing south of the border still offers Toyota some pretty sweet savings on labor. And you better believe they're gonna use those lower costs to offset the expenses that come with, trying to fix all those quality issues. But wait, there's more. Toyota's also got their sights set on that lucrative US market, and their production in Mexico gives them a serious edge when it comes to proximity and logistics. I mean, who doesn't love getting their cars delivered right to their doorstep? Am I right? And let's not forget about those trade agreements. Mexico's got some pretty sweet deals going on that make it super attractive for Toyota to keep their manufacturing base down there. Reduced tariffs, preferential market access. It's a no-brainer, really. Now, I know what you're thinking. But what about those reliability issues? Aren't they a deal breaker? Well, not so fast, my friends. Toyota might just see these challenges as short-term hurdles that they can overcome with a little elbow grease. By investing in their workforce and ramping up that training and development, they could turn those production woes around and make Mexico an even more valuable part of their global manufacturing empire. And let's not forget the whole diversification angle. Keeping production in multiple locations, including Mexico, allows Toyota to spread out their risk and ensure a more stable supply of vehicles, even when one region hits a snag. It's like an insurance policy for their supply chain, you know? But that's not all you see. These guys have this proprietary diagnostic and repair software that's like a total game changer. It's so advanced and specialized that the independent mechanics and mom and pop shops out there, they're just scratching their heads, wondering how the heck they're supposed to get their hands on the right tools and info to fix up those Toyotas. And that, my friends, is exactly where Toyota wants them. By keeping a tight grip on all that repair know-how, they've essentially created a monopoly, a one-stop shop for anyone looking to get their Toyota back in tip-top shape. No more bouncing around from mechanic to mechanic, hoping someone can figure it out. Nope, it's straight to the dealership, where Toyota's got a whole team of experts just waiting to work their magic. Now, I know what you're thinking, but doesn't that mean customers are just at the mercy of Toyota's prices and services? You got it, folks. When those independent shops can't compete, and the only option is the dealership, Toyota can pretty much call the shots. And you better believe they're going to use that to their advantage, keeping those repair bills high and the profits flowing. It's a savvy little move, I'll give them that. Toyota's found a way to turn their proprietary tech into a virtual monopoly on vehicle repairs, ensuring a steady stream of business for their authorized dealerships. And let's be real, who's gonna argue with the experts when it comes to fixing your trusty Toyota, am I right? So, in the end, it seems like Toyota's got some pretty compelling reasons to stay the course despite the current challenges. By capitalizing on the profit potential, cost advantages, market access, trade conditions, long-term workforce development, and diversification benefits, they might just be able to turn those production headaches into a major competitive edge. Only time will tell, but if anyone can make it work, it's Toyota. They're a pretty resourceful bunch if you ask me. But what's the impact? This touches on lots of things, so let's dissect it together. Let's talk about the dealerships. These guys are really feeling the pinch, with profit margins on new car sales at a meager 3.9%. Ouch. And it only gets worse. They're struggling to move all those overpriced vehicles, leaving them saddled with excess inventory and skyrocketing holding costs. Talk about a recipe for strained relationships with the big boss at Toyota. But wait, it gets worse. Toyota's obsession with short-term profits could be putting a serious dent in their long-term competitiveness. I mean, if they're not investing properly in research and development and innovation, they might just lose that edge that's made them so successful in the past. And you better believe the competition is going to be circling, ready to snatch up those customers with their more affordable offerings. Now, I know what you're thinking, but what about the dealers? Aren't they doing anything to help the situation? Well, kudos to them, they're actually stepping up to the plate. These guys are committed to keeping prices at least $1 under MSRP, and they're working hard to provide customers with total transparency on inventory and order fulfillment. Plus, with those high trade-in values, customers are actually coming out on top. But the implications of Toyota's profit-driven approach are just too big to ignore. From declining sales and strained dealer relationships to environmental concerns and long-term competitiveness issues, it's a perfect storm of problems that they're gonna have to address, and fast. So what is Toyota planning to do with it? What are they going to do? Toyota made a big decision, and it could totally change the game for the automotive industry. They're seriously considering a shift to a direct-to-consumer sales model, and let me tell you, it's got some serious pros and cons. First, the good stuff. Let's talk about those improved margins, shall we? By cutting out the middleman, Toyota can keep more of that sweet revenue for themselves. No more haggling with retailers. They can just sell straight to the customer and pocket the dough. Sounds like a win-win, right? And then there's the whole customer relationship angle. With direct-to-consumer, Toyota can get up close and personal with their buyers, gathering all kinds of valuable feedback and insights. Imagine the kind of customer loyalty they can build by really understanding what makes their people tick. It's like having a crystal ball for their product development and marketing strategies. Oh, and let's not forget about that expanded market reach. Direct-to-consumer gives Toyota the freedom to go beyond their geographical limitations and tap into new and emerging markets around the world. Talk about taking over the globe, one car at a time. But of course, it's not all rainbows and unicorns. There are some serious hurdles. Toyota's got to be clear if they want this direct-to-consumer thing to work. For starters, there's the whole logistical nightmare. Inventory management, order fulfillment, shipping, the whole 9 yards. These guys are gonna have to get their ducks in a row, big time. And then there's the delicate dance with their existing dealerships. I mean, let's be real, those guys aren't gonna be too thrilled about Toyota going straight to the consumer and cutting them out of the picture. Maintaining those relationships while rolling out direct to consumer, that's gonna take some serious diplomatic skills, that's for sure. Oh, and let's not forget about the customer service demands. Direct to consumer means Toyota's gotta step up their game and provide top-notch support, which could mean a whole lot of new resources and training. And with all the competition out there exploring this model, they're really gonna have to bring their A game to stand out from the crowd. But what are the dealers going to do? Well, the dealers are not just waiting and sitting there either. I know you're probably saying, what about those pesky franchise laws? You see, in a lot of states, it's pretty much impossible for manufacturers like Toyota to sell directly to customers. These laws are designed to protect the dealerships, and let me tell you, they're not gonna go down without a fight. You can bet your bottom dollar that Toyota's direct-to-consumer plans are going to end up in court, with the dealerships arguing that the whole thing violates their hard-earned rights. And you know what that means? Delays, and more delays. Toyota better be ready to duke it out if they want this direct-to-consumer thing to take off. But wait, there's more. The threat of direct-to-consumer sales is also going to push those dealerships to start consolidating, forming bigger and badder groups. And you know what that means? More bargaining power. Good luck trying to bypass them, Toyota, because these guys are going to be tough nuts to crack. In fact, the bigger the dealership groups get, the more they'll be able to invest in their own tech and infrastructure to compete with Toyota's fancy online sales platform. Talk about a level playing field, am I right? And let's not forget, the dealerships aren't just gonna sit back and watch Toyota take over. Nope, they're gonna have to adapt their business models too. Maybe they'll start focusing more on that killer customer service, or they might even jump into the online sales game themselves. Gotta stay relevant, am I right? But perhaps the biggest challenge of all is going to be renegotiating those franchise agreements. Toyota's making some big moves, and the dealerships are gonna want a piece of the action. Profit margins, inventory requirements, marketing responsibilities, it's all on the table, and you can bet those negotiations are going to get heated. And speaking of competitive advantages, the dealerships might just find their sweet spot in the service and repair game. Let's face it, customers love getting their cars serviced by the same place they bought them from, so the dealerships might just double down on that, investing in training, equipment, and top-notch customer service to keep those loyal customers coming back. So, what's the bottom line, you ask? Well, it's clear that Toyota's direct-to-consumer dreams are going to face some serious pushback from their dealership network. These guys aren't going to go down without a fight, that's for sure. But hey, if there's one thing Toyota knows how to do, it's adapt. So I have a feeling this is going to be one wild ride, and the final destination is still anyone's guess. But let's talk about the most important thing here. Now watch carefully. Impact on consumers. With all of this new technology, Toyota is aiming to collect data on their customers. But this is a very controversial thing, to say the least. Toyota's connected services system is designed to enhance vehicle functionality through features like navigation, remote access, and vehicle diagnostics. However, this system collects a vast trove of data from users, including personal information such as names, phone numbers, and email addresses, vehicle data like fuel levels, odometer readings, location, and driving behavior, and even information from drivers' connected smartphones. This extensive data collection raises serious questions about how this sensitive information is used and shared, particularly with third parties like insurance companies and debt collectors. Consumers often find Toyota's privacy policies vague and overly broad, making it challenging to determine the full scope of data being collected, who it's shared with, and for what purposes. Critics argue that these policies prioritize corporate interests over consumer privacy, offering little in the way of meaningful choices for individuals regarding their data. In fact, one Toyota customer even reported backing out of a vehicle purchase after discovering the alarming extent of data collection associated with the connected services system. This reflects a growing awareness and concern among consumers about the potential for their personal information and driving habits to be monitored and shared without their explicit consent. The possibility of Toyota sharing collected data with third parties is particularly controversial. While the company claims this information is gathered for purposes like safety, security, and product development, the mere potential for external entities to access details about consumers' driving behavior raises significant privacy concerns. This practice could lead to individuals being profiled based on their habits, potentially impacting everything from insurance rates to other financial aspects of their lives. The controversy surrounding Toyota's data collection practices has contributed to a growing distrust among consumers regarding the company's commitment to privacy. This erosion of confidence is compounded by recent scandals involving safety data, irregularities, and emissions testing, further undermining the brand's reputation. As more people become aware of these issues, there's a real risk that some consumers may choose to avoid purchasing vehicles from manufacturers perceived as overly invasive when it comes to data collection. This shift in sentiment could have significant implications for Toyota's market position and sales, especially as competition in the automotive industry continues to intensify. So in short, Toyota's approach to data collection through its direct-to-consumer and proprietary software systems has significant implications for consumer privacy. The extensive data gathering practices, vague privacy policies, and controversial sharing of information with third parties have raised alarms among consumers. But what do you think? Let's know in the comments. Thanks for watching. I will see you on the next video.